Yo guys, what up? So I'm here in the pool, chilling, relaxing despite today being crazy. I wanted to share um, some insight with you guys that has really helped me navigate through the last at least like 2 weeks of my life, which have been super, I guess, transformative. Having practiced certain things, experiencing certain things, and being shown and given some wisdom and insight and some breathing exercises and kind of putting everything together um, has really like helped me through the past like week where I have experienced certain things that like my old self would like probably freak out. But here I am in the pool. I'm just chilling. So I wanted to share um, what I've learned with you guys, and it's called heart-brain coherence. And side note, I'm watching my friend's dogs, and then his neighbors have a pool and spa. So I'm watching their dogs as well, and they're like, "Hey, you can use the pool and spa whenever." So, side note, this is not my pool. But so heart-brain coherence is having you learning the ability and the skill of listening to your heart or your brain, which sometimes we have questions that we want answered, but we can't ask people because they don't really have the answers. And what I've learned is, if you have dreams that are so vivid and lucid that you remember them when you're awake, you're strong enough to ask what those dreams mean. So I've had some interesting dreams that I had maybe like a week and a half ago, 2 weeks ago, that I remember. One was a particular person on the floor. I won't even say this particular like part of the dream, but the second part of the dream was a nightmare, and there was people killing me. And I have some other dreams that I remember. But heart-brain coherence gives you the ability to ask what you want to ask, and you can understand what your heart is saying and what your brain is saying. And I want to give you how your heart and brain speak first, so that then we can go into understanding how we can master and build the skill of our heart and knowing what our heart is saying and connecting our heart and brain highway connection system, like with the vagus nerve and everything going up, because your heart signals to your brain to make the chemicals that are created, the chemicals are created, and boom, right? But your brain doesn't really send signals back to your heart, because your heart is the master, but we need to build our heart and brain together. And through like traditional like academia and a lot of things, we're taught that the heart is separate from the brain, but now we know everything is connected, is coherent. So when we learn how to connect them with the heart and brain even more, we get to just feel happier and more in control, and we can understand things a lot better. So your heart, if you ever want to know what your heart is saying, your heart is generally almost always going to be very quick, concise, in one sentence, a sentence or fewer words, right? Whereas, wow, when I put the rest of my body back in the water, it's gonna be cold. I can feel it. It's cold. But so your heart is very quick, concise. Your heart knows instantly, right? They say it takes 3 seconds, 30, I think it's 3 or 30 seconds. I could be wrong, but it's like 3 or 30 seconds for us for our hearts to determine whether we like somebody or not. It takes a woman 180, they found this to be true, actually. A woman, it takes her 180 seconds to determine if the person, for her heart to determine if the person in front of her is a compatible potential life mate. And then from there, she will spend the next 5, 10, 15, 20 years proving that her heart was right the whole time. So, when you're around certain people, your heart knows instantly what that experience, what that person, whatever that your heart knows instantly, and you can feel that, and it'll tell you, hey, your heart is this. This is what you feel, right? And it doesn't add judgment or ego or anything to it. There's no judgment. Your heart doesn't judge. It doesn't say good or bad, right? I guess that would be the next step for determining, like, well, how does this make me feel? And from your heart, you already know, is this a good person or a bad person? And you can assess the judgment through the logic of how you feel. But then, the exercise your brain, right? So your heart is an instant answer. If you ask a question and it's from the heart, the answer is always quick, a couple of words, one sentence or less, right? What we found is that's almost 100% true. We all work different. So obviously you being the master of, your life and who you are and what you want to do and who you want to become and all those things, like those are the questions you ask and you know what the answers will be. And your brain will usually make up stories to try to justify whatever it is you're asking. So if you hear a preamble, a story, well, this and this and that, so it has to logically mean this, that's your brain speaking. So now that we've distinguished heart and brain, we can understand how we can coherently merge them together so that we can ask ourselves questions that we want answered, like, why am I here? Where am I going? And from there, you can know what your heart is saying and listen to your heart more than just your brain. Now the exercise is you're going to essentially slow your breathing down to 5 seconds in, 5 seconds out. It's a very simple exercise. I think for a lot of people, sitting down and just breathing like life force and slowing things down is it's very difficult for a lot of people to do. I think that a lot of people have not gotten used to or learned how to sit with themselves in silence. And I think that that's why a lot of people, they're so frustrated. They have so much anxiety, depressed, people, and they have TVs on, electronics and Netflix, things in the back, because it's easier to kind of just go through the motions rather than like sit with yourself and ask the hard questions and evaluate who you are and who you want to be and who you don't want to be. Like, what are the things that you don't like about yourself? Like for me, for the longest time was I meet people and I get so excited, and in that excitement and that energy, I just I'm all this oxytocin and all this adrenaline, just and I freak out and I'm just yeah, I'm so excited, woohoo, and I don't think. Then later on, I'm really good at reflecting and evaluating and then kind of moving forward from there. And I've always said I really want to be less so oh my god, excited and bam. I just really want to be more centered and not so like a kid, but I think for me, the cool part is that that's always been a strength of mine. Whatever you want to ask, you'll be able to understand are these questions, whatever questions you ask, you'll be able to understand what the heart is saying and what your brain is saying, so that you can make a decision for let's say your life or your relationship or whatever it is you're going through. You can use that insight to better understand where you want to go through your heart. And for me, that's been important, following music, that fitness isn't just something that I love. I lost touch with music and my creative side, and I put that on the back burner. When putting music on the back burner is like putting myself on the back burner, because music is part of my identity. So I can't, I've learned that I need to follow who I am to a T and not just parts of me whenever. It's a one flow and consistency. So so just to kind of go over what I've explained, there's something on my phone, whatever. I'm going to explain basically everything again to summarize. Heart-brain coherence. Your brain and your heart work together. Your heart is essentially connected, signaling to your brain. Your brain, whenever you ask a question, your brain is always going to ask. It's going to answer in long stories and try to logically justify things in a preamble and all this story. a long, crazy story, whereas your heart knows instantly. It'll tell you the answer very quickly in a very short response, in generally a sentence or less. And then from there, we'll go into the exercise, which is basically the breathing 5 seconds in, 5 seconds out. Now, when you're doing the exercise, clearly, quiet place. You need to be in a safe place, because when you're safe, your breathing is different. It's from your diaphragm. It's not from your chest. And I think that's a big cause of a lot of people experiencing like certain things, because we're not practicing the diaphragm breaths that will literally change your life, and breathe in that life force into your diaphragm, and then come back, circle up through your vocal cords and your heart and your lungs, and come back out. And those breathing exercises are really going to change your life. But going deeper, the 5 breaths in, 5 breaths out, and then while you're breathing, you can touch your heart, or you can do this. Whatever hand gesture is going to help you feel your center of your heart while you're doing this exercise is key. Now, here is a very important part. Whales communicate at 0.1 hertz frequency. It's low. You can't hear it. You can't really feel it. It's a very low frequency. Now, what we've found is gamma waves are like that's where we want to be, right? That's the frequency range we want to be. So 0.1 hertz, that Tibetan monks, when they meditate, that's what they're reaching, right? The gamma state. So 0.1 hertz is what whales, how whales talk to each other, right? Underwater. 0.1 hertz is the gamma state we want to get at. Now, what Heart Math Institute has found is almost 100% of the time we can create 0.1 hertz. The feeling, we have to create the feeling inside of us, and that's by thoughts of love, compassion, appreciation, and gratitude, right? Now, obviously, like if you say Shante Ishta or prana, Sumerian words or native Indian words, there's no conversion into English what these words mean. Shante Ishta, right? Like energy, right? Prana, life force. Like you can say life force, but like we don't know how life force feels, and that's where there's a gap between ancient knowledge and like the English language. Like we've simplified the English language so that we don't know how things feel unless we feel them. Well, appreciation, compassion, gratitude, and love are very big feelings that we can all feel. So if you are doing your breath exercise with 5 seconds in, 5 seconds out, and you're touching your heart center, or whatever hand gesture makes you feel your heart center, while you're thinking thoughts and feeling the thoughts of love, appreciation, compassion, and gratitude, you're going to create 0.1 hertz inside of your body. And touching is going to build the connection to your brain. And it takes about 7 hours. 3 minutes of this exercise will unlock 6 hours after the exercise of those connections being built. So technically, 3 days of 3 minutes each day, you're going to build a very solid foundation for your heart-brain coherence, so that you can start like asking yourself questions about dreams. What do they mean? What do these people in your life mean? Like, do you really love this person? Is this person good for you? Where's your life going? Like all these questions you can start asking from a place that you can distinguish what your heart is saying and what your brain is saying. And for me, just like, especially like being a guy in 2021, which is weird that it's 2021 right now. Feels like yesterday I was like I was like in 8th grade listening to like Slipknot and like just me being a little metalhead. But this stuff really helps. It's helped me. And there's some other practices that I've done that I learned. Actually, I've learned box breathing from a Navy SEAL. 4 seconds in, 4-second hold, 8-second release. That's a good box breathing exercise that I learned from, his name is Mark Devine. He has a book called The Way of the SEAL, who he now teaches Kokoro Navy He teaches yoga, and he also teaches like a lot of other like life stuff. But I definitely suggest going through his book, The Way of the SEAL, by Navy SEAL Commander Mark Devine. He's retired. And then I also learned Breath of Fire from a friend. She taught me this like 2 weeks ago. She taught me this. Like, I don't know. I'm like, yo, this exercise was one of the most intense exercises that I've ever done. But funny enough, Tony Robbins does the Breath of Fire every morning. And if you watch I'm Not Your Guru, he has the Breath of Fire. Honestly, I highly suggest, if you're going to do Breath of Fire, if you're going to do that exercise, I probably suggest doing some deep internal work first, because there's going to be a lot of things personally and internally inside of you that are going to change, and for the very good. I think for me, I've been lucky enough to like follow a lot of like, you know, meditation and spiritual practices and stuff like that, that I'm like, I don't know what's happening, but I just feel so amazing. And I'm like truly in this state where like I feel things so differently, and I'm just so grateful and happy. And like, it's not from a place where I'm like, yo, I saw a quote today and I'm inspired. Like, no, like I truly have like felt that. And like Saturday, everything was going down, and I'm like, I just felt so good, and I was like emotional. And then I didn't want it to end, but then Sunday I wake up and I still felt it. And then Monday, and I still feel it. And here it is, like Wednesday, and like I'm going through, you know, like I just had like half a year's income hit my bank. And then they're like, hey, like we closed your bank account, and you have to send in all this documentation for us to give you your money back. And I'm like, 5 minutes of like, what the fuck, and like, this is bullshit and whatever. And I just want to freak the fuck out. But then like internally my body is like, it's all good, dude. Like, you are the master now, you know? And it's so weird. Like, I'm like, holy shit, like my body's not even letting me freak out. Like, I want to freak out. My brain is like, red alert, red alert. So I wanted to share that with you. I know that it was long. I know I'm in the pool, but I kind of wanted to just come from a place of like relaxed, chilled. My mom's like, I've been freaking out for you. I've been like worried and freaking out for like the past 3 days. And I'm like, no, like I'm good. I've just been like chilling. I'm getting sun, and you know, everything's good. Like, so I wanted to share that with you guys though, because everything that's happening, there's still a lot of uncertainty, and I want you guys to know that we're never going to go back to normal. Things are never going to go back to normal. It's kind of like a breakup, right? Like, you lose your job, like you're never going back there. And I think that so many of us, myself included, we're all like a lot of us maybe are expecting things to go back to normal, whatever it is. There will be a new normal. But we have to navigate the world differently, and we have to know ourselves a lot better. And there's never like I'm a here moment. The universe is continuously expanding and expanding, and that correlates to us as individuals, that no matter what happens, we're going to keep expanding with the universe, and that means with growth and change. The only difference is some people are not growing in a positive way, and some people, and there's a lot of people, which is amazing, are growing in a way more that's positive and more enlightening for where they are in life. So I think, you know, it's great to see people grow, but you can't just say, oh, I'm woke, you need to wake up, or like get enlightened. Like, when people are ready, they're ready. And it's not fair for anybody to force that growth or change when maybe that person really isn't ready. And I know that, you know, showing people certain things, or people, you know, trying to grow or fix certain issues when they're not truly ready, could actually be damaging. I know that's like more of like a Buddhist kind of thing. But, you know, it could make that person not like you anymore, because you brought them to a point where they weren't ready for. So that's always important to understand too, that people are gonna, when they're ready, and if not, you have to love them and care for them. If they're in your life and they're a good person to you, if they're good, maybe it's your husband or your mom or your dad and whatever, whoever it is, maybe they're actually really good and they really care about you, but it's not fair for us to bring certain things and like demand growth when growth takes time. It takes 31 years to be 31. You can't say, oh, well, I'm just 31 now because I went through so much shit. No, you're still 20, right? So yeah, I just wanted to share that with you guys. I know I've been on this forever, but if you're watching, awesome. If you get to see this, I hope that you got this far, and I hope that you do the breath exercise. 5 in, 5 inhale, 5 exhale, 5 seconds. Touch your heart or whatever hand gesture is going to make you feel your heart center, and just feel the thoughts of gratitude, appreciation, love, and compassion. Those will generate 0.1 hertz in you, and you will start feeling the benefits pretty much almost instantly. I've been doing this every day now. I'm also doing some other breath exercises that will truly change your life. So I just really suggest that you guys do that, and just grow and be better, and realize that you have the ability to control everything inside of yourself and how you feel, and everything external. It's okay. Like, we can't control everything, but we can control how our thoughts, feelings, beliefs, emotions, who we love, and the things that we do. So, again, like I said earlier, I made this video so that you guys have a better understanding on how to ask questions that nobody else would have the answers to except yourself, and knowing what your heart is saying and what your brain is saying. And again, your heart speaks in very concise, quick answers, a sentence or less. Your brain talks in very long stories, preambles, and tries to logically justify things. So I'm going to get out of here. If you have any questions, or you want any like resources on people that I'm following, stuff that I'm reading, or just have questions or whatever, like, hit me up. Message me. I'll get to you when I can. I apologize if it maybe takes a lot longer than expected. There's a lot going on right now, so having this time for me right now is very good. So at least I can, reevaluate my life and the things that I'm doing, and have a more clear and concise picture of where I might go in the future, in the present and the future. And hopefully you guys do the same. So I'm going to get out of here. I appreciate it. Thank you guys. Hopefully your day is as awesome as mine right now. Thanks. Bye.